You know, I've been covering the gaming industry for about almost 6 years now on this channel, and every single day I sit back and think to myself, man, I wonder what things would be like if Steam and GOG weren't around. But I think the crazier part is we're watching the gaming industry itself trying to do that exact same thing. Every publisher, every development studio, every company is doing everything they can to try and turn Steam as an enemy towards the actual users. And usually what that tells me is one thing specifically. That tells me Steam is in fact doing the right thing. And if you think I'm kidding about this kind of statement, honestly, check this out. Because according to The Gamer, it turns out that Steam is a monopoly, according to 72% of developers and publishers. That's right, almost 3/4 of the entire gaming industry, whether it's a developer or publisher, thinks that Steam itself is a monopoly. And the most wild part about all of this is that they actually truly believe this. CEOs, everybody else in the actual publisher pipeline, everybody mad and upset that customers and consumers go to Steam first instead of going anywhere else. And you know, honestly, it's not even Steam's fault. And it's not even the fact that Steam does all these amazing things for the customer and consumer. They could be doing a lot more if you ask me. But I think the crazier part is watching every single publisher, developer, storefront competing with Steam literally go ahead and take lessons from Kurt Cobain on how to use it. And it's the worst experience overall across any other storefront and even platform. Hell, and even Good Old Games, which is GOG, basically got their rights back of the original owner, and they're going to be turning things around and even going to be promoting more Linux-based titles and even converting their library to be usable on Linux natively, which is honestly a fantastic thing. And guess who's pushing Linux? Valve. But you see, it's not just the customer that is actually getting the most benefits out of the fact that Steam even exists in the first place. What we're seeing right now is even some indie publishers are seeing the success as well because of Steam on their own. Dave Oshry of New Blood quote tweeted Extreme Blitz on Twitter saying this: Blood West was free on the Epic Game Store over the holidays and sold like 200% more on Steam that day. With Dave Oshry replying to his own tweet saying this: I used to think Epic Game Store was a marketing black hole, but it turns out having your game be free on Epic is great advertising for Steam sales. I want you to really stop and think about this for a second. As a customer and consumer, as a user of PC gaming, or even just any gaming device whatsoever right now, because pretty much they're all going to be carrying Steam pretty soon, you go and you see a game being free on the Epic Game Store. Instead of actually collecting that free game on EGS, you'd rather turn around and buy the game on Steam instead, basically because Steam has done everything they can to make the actual product, the platform, and the storefront easier for you to use, collect all your games together, and provide you a better experience overall as a customer and consumer. The fact that the Epic Game Store finally got a shopping cart and is providing you somewhat of information when you're buying an actual game really goes to show that these companies are doing everything they can to not do the bare minimum for you and to earn your money. And I think that's the craziest part about today's story. And really, that's what's crazy about today's story. It's not about the fact that Steam is a monopoly. It's about the fact that Steam just does the bare minimum while everybody else can't even figure it out. But it turns out Dave from New Blood said even more. You Dropped Your Dogs said this: This is why I laugh when people argue over the Steam 30% cut for developers. 70% of a sale is better than no sale. With Dave replying saying this: I did an interview today and I said Epic could give devs 100% of sales, and it doesn't mean if there's no sales, LOL. What's 100% of $0? And Dave is totally correct. We've seen everything happen with the Epic Game Store. Even though it's increased its user base massively, third-party sales have tanked and cratered, growing only by 1.6% ever since they started. They have trained 295 million people to get their free game and log off. And even then, they might even see that actual free game. They'll play Fortnite, see the game is free, oh, there's probably a sale on Steam, and buy it on Steam instead. And it gets even worse because in just the month of December, Steam alone generated $1.6 billion with Arc Raiders on Steam, moving over 1 million copies. So we're seeing Steam hit massive record player numbers. We're seeing Steam hit massive record sales. We're seeing games literally live and die because of Steam and the storefront that they've created and curated. And what we have instead isn't publishers and developers going around and saying, what are they doing that we're not? How are they obtaining customers that we're not getting? What they're saying instead is something so ridiculous and honestly they're saying Steam is a monopoly, not realizing that all they have to do is basically just copy whatever Steam does and people will flood over to those storefronts as well, or even provide a better user experience or fix the problems that Steam has right now. Instead, they'd rather blame everybody else's success and then try to go through and say, no, you're the problem. When in reality, Steam isn't a monopoly at all. The only thing it monopolized was being good to the customers and consumers, providing some of the best refund policies you could actually ask for, being able to add non-Steam games onto that storefront and then launch games from there, having one specific launcher instead of having to open up 10 different ones, giving people options, providing different sales, putting the customer and consumer first more than anything. And it's so crazy that these companies refuse to do that in any conceivable facet at all. But I think the crazier part is, it's not just the fact that these companies call Steam a monopoly, it's that now we're seeing actual law firms try to sue Steam because of that 30% cut. No, I'm not kidding. According to Insider Gaming, Valve is facing a $900 million class action lawsuit. Okay, so now this is where things have gone. We are now at the space where publishers and developers are calling Steam a monopoly, and apparently now people are in fact banding together. I'm not going to say if it's those specific pubs and devs, by the way, who knows who exactly is funding this entire thing, are getting around to sue Steam, basically because they take a percentage cut, which is basically industry standard across the entire board with every other publisher and developer that has a storefront, and then using that to say, hey, you guys are bad for the industry and the video gamers. Are they really? I mean, think about it. Are they actually really? What is in fact happening with Steam where people are so obsessed in the gaming industry where they're trying to take it down a peg? It almost feels like what Steam is in fact doing is bucking the trend and showing everyone how to treat their customers, but instead these people want to go through and break it down, literally trying to ruin the exact reason why people buy on PC in the first place. But there's more to the article, so let's go from there. The article from Insider Gaming says this: Valve is going to have to defend itself in court for its pricing and commission practices. A class action lawsuit in the UK brought against the company is looking for roughly $900 million in damages. First filed back in 2024 by Vicky Shotbolt, the lawsuit claims that Valve charges, quote, excessive commission charges that lead to a, quote, an unfair practice which is then passed on to consumers. First of all, the idea of an unfair practice of charging developers a percentage of selling their game on that storefront is not unfair. Literally, it is industry standard. Practically every single major publisher or storefront owner runs that exact same kind of percentage, usually 70-30. Xbox does it, PlayStation does it, Steam does it, and so do many others as well, even Nintendo more than likely. But the problem is, this honestly seems kind of familiar. This feels like a talking point in conversation from one person in particular that has been talking about commission pricing structure and feeling that it is going to be the big thing that impacts consumers and customers, when in reality, that hasn't been the case. Gee, I wonder what other person that is directly against Valve and Steam and even Gabe Newell has said these exact same kind of things before. I wonder who would that person in fact be? What a noggin scratcher it would have to be for me to figure that one out. I wouldn't be able to guess for the life of me, honestly. In fact, I know this entire lawsuit is 100% complete bullshit because Valve and Steam recently readjusted their entire commission pricing structure. Take a look. According to The Verge, Valve's new Steam revenue agreement gives more money to game developers. Steam's parent company Valve announced a new revenue split for its online video game marketplace late Friday evening, with the change in its distribution agreement giving developers more money as the number of unit of sales increases. Normally, Valve takes around 30% of all sales on Steam, with some exceptions for games from smaller developers in its Steam Direct program. That will remain the case for the first $10 million in sales a game maker or publisher earns. For all sales between $10 million and $50 million, the split goes to 25%. And for every sale after the initial $50 million, Steam will take just 20% as a cut. So right off the bat, immediately there is a massive disconnect between what Vicky Shotbolt is trying to say and what their lawsuit in fact alleges. Because clearly, after a specific amount of revenue being generated on Steam, Valve will then take less money over time. The more money that game in fact makes, giving more money back to the developer and even publisher. And to make things even crazier, there's one statement that really bothered me the most in the entire statement that was made. It's the fact that it's an unfair price, which is then passed on to consumers. Because when you look at the Epic Game Store publishing commission structure, things can be a little bit more eye-opening too. The Epic Game Store says this: it is 0% store fee for the first $1 million in revenue per app per year. Starting in June 2025, for any Epic Game Store payments we process, developers will pay a 0% revenue share on their first $1 million in revenue per app per year, and then our regular 88%, 12% revenue share when they earn more than that. In my opinion and my guesstimation, if Vicky Shotbolt's statement were in fact correct, then the actual prices on the Epic Games Store would of course reflect the fact that there is no commission being placed on the actual game for the first $1 million of each app. On top of that, there would be again a 18% increase in revenue per each generated actual sale of game for each publisher and developer. Meaning that if this were actually the case and Vicky's statement were true, that customers and consumers are in fact paying more because of the commission structure, then every single game on the Epic Game Store should in fact be 18% less on price depending upon each specific game. So if a game on Steam was $70, the Epic Game Store price should not be $70. It should in fact be 18% less than what is being charged. Yet if I can go on the actual Epic Game Store right now, besides the free games, you will see those games being listed at $70. Completely disproving her entire argument right there. I'm not even a lawyer and I figured this all out right now. This entire lawsuit is a bunch of bullshit more than anything I've ever seen. And the fact that it's going into the actual next stage of a class action lawsuit pretty much disproves everything in the gaming space right now. Publishers and developers don't want Steam, not because people are buying their games on there, but because people aren't buying their games directly from that actual publisher and developer because they don't want to help you as a customer and consumer. They want to control everything. The article also says this: the lawsuit alleges that Valve forces platform party obligations that prohibit publishers from selling products through other distribution channels on better terms than the same products are available on Steam. They say that this practice is likely to restrict competition. Valve's defense claims that the group suing the company can't establish proper claims regarding its commission pricing due to the fact that the suit doesn't consider the effect of Steam keys. Now, we're going to get into the Steam key situation in just a moment, but really, it's honestly quite concerning. A lot of people have been talking about the whole platform price parity for quite some time, and I know some of you may have said that in the beginning when we talked about the actual 18% difference on what Epic Game Store prices would sell. But you know what? We should be honest with ourselves for half a second. Let's take a look at the past 6 years of this industry right now. Look at what's actually happened the entire time. Price increases due to market conditions, games costing $80, game key cards by Nintendo, games increasing in price, microtransactions, battle passes, always being online, no longer having access to your games, and then forcing you to a digital library, reducing actual production, logistics, actual cost of materials and goods, no longer having manuals in your game cases, and even then having discs of games no longer have the actual fucking game on them, but only an installer file to download the game from the internet servers. So really, when you think about it, would these companies actually provide you some sort of cost-saving benefit by going around and having a less margin? Or would these companies do whatever they can to increase the price, pay less over time for any other storefront, and then try to keep everything as profit? In the article, Valve says this, quote, without a credible plan for taking Steam keys into account, the PCR cannot establish Steam's actual effective commission charge. And without this, the PCR cannot establish whether the commission charge amounts to an unfair price, Valve argues. They also say that suing group, quote, failed to show a plan to determine which Steam partners actually pay these allegedly unfair prices. Despite these arguments and others, the London Competition Appeal Tribunal ruled that the case must move forward. As of publishing, Valve has not responded to requests for comment on the lawsuit. That has been a hell of a way to start off this year already. Valve has been dealing with so many things right off the bat, not only from the actual censorship of payment processors from the previous 6 months that we've talked about on this channel, but now also from a lawsuit that is effectively almost 2 years old. The thing is though, a couple of questions were also raised by Valve specifically about Viki's actual lawsuit and who is in fact funding them. This came from GamesIndustry.biz. With GamesIndustry.biz's article saying, quote, "Valve is rigging the market and taking advantage of UK gamers," Viki Shotbolt said when the lawsuit was initially filed. Shotbolt has secured over £18.6 billion to support the lawsuit, though Valve still queried her funding arrangements as part of its attempt to stop the case from going to trial. Look, this really does scream more than anything that my guesstimation on the entire thing is that Epic Games may be in fact funding Viki Shotbolt's court case against Steam and Valve to either have some form of legality placed onto Valve itself. The thing is though, this lawsuit is going to impact you more than anybody could honestly imagine. If Valve does in fact get hit with this case and they lose this case, this could be a massive detrimental issue against you as a customer and consumer, simply because we've seen this industry become as greedy as fucking possible across the board every single time. And it gets even worse because we could in fact be seeing the actual removal of Steam keys from third-party websites like Green Man Gaming and even CD keys and etc. And CD keys are a massive part of what Valve is in fact talking about. You see, the thing is, publishers and developers can ask for extra keys to sell on other platforms, and this is where that price parity clause comes in, and this is what Viki is talking about, even though they're confusing two vastly different things. This is from Valve's own website about third-party resellers and even Steam keys being sold on that site as well. With the quote directly from Steam's FAQ page about actual Steam keys, saying this: "It's okay to run a discount for Steam keys on different stores at different times, as long as you plan to give a comparable offer to Steam customers within a reasonable amount of time." Valve basically just said, hey, look, if you want to do a sale on a third-party website to get a better commission, that's perfectly cool. Go right ahead. We're not going to be mad about the entire thing. Hell, they'll print the keys for you. All Valve is asking is saying, hey, look, in a reasonable amount of time, give us something that's even comparable to what that kind of sale is. And that's the issue. If a company or developer is going to say, we want to sell the game for this price, the actual commission isn't going to matter. Because what we've seen, especially on the Epic Games Store, is the fact that even though the commission is lower and the developers make more money, still, 100% of zero is still zero. If nobody buys your game on that storefront, you could have a 0% commission and no one's still gonna fucking buy it. So what's the actual point? Like Dave Oshry pointed out before as well, having the game being free on the Epic Games Store actually garnered him more sales on Steam. And this whole thing basically just boils down to one specific aspect, and that is this: Steam and Valve have done more for customers and consumers than basically almost every other storefront right now. I would say the only one above them in the actual consumer advocacy would in fact be good old Games or GOG. And that's basically because they in fact do a lot of great things for adding one-click mod support and also letting you actually own your games DRM free and not needing to be accessing a storefront to access your library. The problem is this: these companies, developers, and publishers don't want for Steam to do better for them. No, what they want more is control. What they want is to remove Steam altogether, to stop you from having access to your library, to your games, and no longer having to pay Steam anything in the first place because they don't want to do the work to give you the better experience at all. They want to leave you high and dry. They want to leave you with an $80 bill for a video game and then give you nothing in return. No support, no forums, no cart, no community tab, nothing at all. No way of actually fixing the title, no information on what to do if something goes wrong, no modding capabilities, no Steam Workshop, no chatting, no voice chats, no groups, nothing. They want to minimize the amount of money that they spend and maximize the amount of money they charge you, and then turn right back around and say, guys, it's good for us, which means it's good for you, when we've seen this entire thing backfire so many times already. I fear and weep for the day we lose someone on this planet like Gabe Newell, because clearly what we've seen right now is that no other publisher, no other storefront is doing anything that is remotely close to what we've seen with Steam in the first place. And I've wanted a competitor for Steam for an incredibly long time, and I really think that GOG is going to be the one to bring it, but they're going to do it in their own specific way. And if people like Tim Sweeney and Vicky Shoppold and so many others are walking around saying that Valve is anti-consumer and being the real reason why game prices are going up, then I can literally point to basically every other game company using the market conditions argument and saying, oh guys, we got to increase the price, and then they turn right around and they record record-breaking profits every single quarter and year. So what is the actual issue? Are they really dealing with market conditions, or are they just using that as an excuse to jack the price up on you, charge you more, and then give you less, and then laugh all the way to the bank? That's the part that really boils my blood, that gets me the most out of all of this. These companies are trying to turn Valve into a villain when the reality is they're the ones that are screwing everybody over on a consistent basis. They're the ones that are causing things like the Nouveau DRM being implemented into their games. They're the ones that are going around making you be always online, having the battle passes, having the garbage bullshit, having the slop being fed you on a consistent basis. Yet when Steam does actually nothing, they still keep winning. Gee, I wonder why. I really hope that this case gets thrown out, because if not, it's going to be a massive detrimental issue for you and me as a customer and consumer. This lawsuit could in fact do the opposite effect of what Vicky and Epic Games wanted to do. This could cause game developers to in fact take advantage of you as a customer and also take advantage of Valve, turning around and charging you more money simply because you're not giving less of a cut to Valve. You're not going to get any savings if this goes through. In fact, it's going to be even worse if this actually happens. This is not a good thing for customers and consumers. This is a bad thing overall. These companies know exactly the actual line they have to hit, how much they have to charge, and what they have to in fact get in order to be successful. And all they're trying to do is not be the good guys. They're trying to maximize every red cent in their pockets and squeeze you for more every single time. And to me, that's what's so short-sighted about this court case and what in fact they're trying to argue against Valve. And I know some comments are going to be really out of pocket with this one, right? Oh, Alex, you're a Steam fanboy. Okay, you know what? Besides GOG, show me one company that has done anything for their customers like what Valve has done. Oh, wait. I'll be here all day. I will be here all day, because I will hear nothing but a pin drop as if you are trying to confess your sins in a church quietly as a mouse. That's why. But you know what? I want to hear what you guys have to say about this in the comments section down below. Do you agree with this lawsuit in some weird way? Do you disagree with it? Do you side with what Valve is in fact doing? Or do you think this could in fact go to the worst possible case scenario? I want to hear what you guys have to say. And in fact, speaking about what you guys have to say, here is the comment of the day from yesterday's video. Asura48 said this about Highguard. That shit was free, and I want a refund. Laughing, crying emoji. If that right there doesn't encapsulate this entire video and what the gaming industry is doing, I don't know what will. Asura, great comment, my boy. I appreciate it. If you also want to be in the comment of the day for tomorrow's video, let me hear what you guys have to say in the comment section down below. If you want to see more of this kind of content though, more PC port reviews, gaming news, Steam Deck videos, my hot takes in the gaming industry, and even fanboy content, subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to breaking 106K. And I just want to say thank you guys so very much. If you want Discord access or emotes during live streams, become a YouTube member. It's as low as $1. If you don't want to spend the buck, don't even worry about it. Just show up Saturday nights, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, live right here on the channel. The community is absolutely amazing. I wear a banana suit and they get to insult me with AITTS for about 5 hours. 750 plus people making fun of this old guy. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Saturday nights, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, live right here on the channel. With all that being said, though, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you gooners next time. Peace!